She was shortlisted for Woman of the Year Merseyside 2000 and Most Inspirational Woman 2013 in Cheshire. She is Vice Chair for the Chartered Institute of Marketing, Cheshire, and a Fellow of CIM. Welcome, Jane.
I'll go to one of the doors and let someone else in because that really doesn't sound like it. Anyway. Okay, so we're going to up the tempo a bit. Can everybody hear me now? Because I know the sound's sort of been an issue. Are you hearing me at the back there? Okay, okay, right. 35 years ago this week I was sat in these very seats. Well, not exactly those seats, but seats in a different university. And I remember Freshers' Fortnight, which it used to be called. I know it's Induction week now. It was a fortnight because the first week was actually being really good, going out, joining things, going to all the lectures and the lessons and everything. And then the following week, you had a massive hangover. So I'm sure you won't be the same. For anyone that's not sure, that's me in the middle. And my brother on the right, it is a boy, very scary jumper. He's now a consultant anaesthetist at one of the top 10 NHS hospitals in the country with about 400 direct reports. So from that to someone that's quite well respected, okay? Right, this is where I landed up, okay? The first year I spent in a women's prison, it was actually modelled on a Swedish women's prison, but that was the rules of residence. And the second year and the third year I was in digs, and not dissimilar to some of the streets around Chester. The first year the roof fell in and we had to go through into the bath to get to the toilet, and then if you used the toilet you looked up and saw the stars. And the third year I caught scabies. Does anyone know what scabies is? No? Right, it's a contagious parasite that burrows under the skin and itches like hell. Okay? I was fumigated 3 weeks before my finals, and then I ended up taking my finals with my legs coated in cream. So it wasn't all bad though, okay? Again, that's me on the left, in case of any difficulty. That was all my flatmates, and then that was my engineering colleagues. That's me on the left again. I think I've just found the tequila worm in my plastic tequila. And Kate in the middle, I'll talk about her a bit later. I tried to find a photo of me with a cone on my head, okay, but that was the best I could do. And as you see here, there's lots of bottles still, so there is a theme on this sort of thing. So what's changed in 35 years? Fees. We were means tested. We still had to pay out some proportion of our parents' earnings and our earnings to actually get us through college. So that's no different. And I know there are some political debates about the payment of fees and how it's much tougher now. But I still think that if you pay for something, we find this a lot in consultancy, people don't value what's free. So there is a bit of the theory that goes towards saying that because you're paying for it, you should value it. And that means you really have to evaluate it and make sure you're getting value for money. Okay. Pressure, I think, still the same. So I looked for some statistics. The best I could find was suicides for 16 to 24-year-olds. In 1982, were 10 per 100,000. In 2010, it was 8 per 100,000. So I still think there's still that same degree of pressure. Study intensity, that's where we started to see some real differences. When I was at university, I had 27 hours a week of lectures. I did engineering, which was a high intensity degree. And because of that, the only time I got to work was during the holidays. And when I went back to my university 10 years ago, I noticed in the union there was a job centre. And I think that's the major difference. And I really don't envy you now, because you have that pressure to actually earn as you're going through. So we've had students from Chester, and what they've done is they've come to us on certain days of the week that they don't have lectures in. And I think when you're trying to juggle a job and study, it's much, much more difficult. So I don't envy you. There's internet, and I think that's generally changing the work market because of the new ways that jobs are being affected by that. There's plagiarism is always a threat as well, and I'll talk about that later. And then social media searchability, that's really started to affect the way that students are studying. Adaptability, there's no more jobs for life really. My father worked for 46 years in the mining industry, and when he left with his engineering degree, he had that job for the rest of his life. It still happens with medicine and subjects like that, but his father was 50 years in London Underground, and my mum's father was 35 years at London Gas. So there isn't that degree of safety that you've really got the job for life, things are going to be static. The world of work is constantly changing, and you guys have to adapt a lot more than we have to. I spoke about Kate on that previous slide. She left university and she joined a company that did washing machines, and she spent 30 years being the chief engineer for washing machines. Now that wasn't something that I was interested in, but that's what she's done. She's worked with Dyson and Pop Guns and has an excellent career. But I think these days people want to move around, and there's benefits with having that adaptability and moving to different things. But that may not be for everybody. The major thing, however, is competition. And when you think about when I left, there were 60,000 graduates in 1982. There's 350,000 of you now. So really, you have to think, what am I going to offer over and above those other 350,000 students that are on the job market? So my theory on this is you have to have a plan. You're already halfway there, because what you're starting to do is to do more of what you actually enjoy, and in doing that you start to get better at it. There is loads of theories around it where people do work they enjoy, they are better at it, okay? And I think that's an important thing, okay? Even if you have a plan and you don't decide to follow it, there is that element of rebellion, but at least you feel as though, well, if all else fails, I've got something to go back to, okay? And certainly when I went to university, I did it because I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, and it was another 3 years delay on making that decision. I knew what I didn't want to do. I had jobs working in boots on the counter. I'd had jobs where I was in an account section for Cadbury Schweppes, and I did loads of invoice redirecting for Safeways. And to this day, I still have problems shopping in Safeways as it was, because I just associated it with hours and hours of invoicing and accounting work. Okay? So I knew what I didn't want to do, but I didn't yet know what I really wanted to do. And these 3 years that you've got here will allow you to select and think a bit more carefully about really what turns you on and what motivates you. Okay? So you're doing that, okay? Where do I want to be in 5 years' time? At least have a plan now and adapt it. But think to yourself, what sort of job am I looking for? Do I want to spend hours working at a desk? Do I want to be out and about? Do I want to be creative? Do I want to give people other ideas to go with? Or do I want to actually be doing it myself? And that depends on the personality. And at this stage, the personality is pretty well there. But at least you can be sort of formulating exactly that way, or having some sort of direction, okay? And what do you want from work? There's an element of, if you want a high-powered job, then great, but that comes with consequences. If you don't want the pressure, then you look for different sorts of jobs. So you can be thinking about those sorts of things and testing and making sure that you've got the information available to give you those decisions, okay? There's one thing I found really when you're at university, and that is that your time is an investment. You've got 3 years. You don't yet know, once you come into these groups and lectures that you're going to be in, you don't know yet whether you're at the top of the tree in terms of all the other students, or if you're at the bottom. You really don't know yet. But after a few weeks, you'll begin to decide, yes, perhaps I am at the top, or I'm in the middle with everybody else, or whatever. How much work do I actually have to do to get me a decent degree? And if you're looking for a first, you probably will need to sacrifice some of your social life and think more carefully about how you're allocating your work. But I made the decision that I was going to get a middle degree, I was going to have a social life, and I was going to enjoy it, and I was going to invest time in the final year to actually finding a good job. So think about where you want to be in that pecking order, because you will have to make sacrifices in your time. And if you want a third, then great, because you'll be putting the lights out in the bars and restaurants around Chester. And that's fine. There are plenty of people who come to university and they have a study programme, they want to do that. They get involved with some of the clubs and all of a sudden they change their minds, they want to be a DJ, they want to be a radio producer, they want to help with football teams or whatever it is, you've got to find what you're passionate about and pursue that. Okay? Your time is an investment and use it wisely, and I'll say that later. But the one most important thing is do what you say you will do when you say you will do it. Get the essays in on time. Do not waste time. Plan to make sure you succeed on that. Okay, some life lessons now. Alcoholic drinks, if they are cheaper than a sandwich, they are to be avoided. Okay? Be nice to everyone. There are people that I make a practice of at least giving people some of my time. I'll be nice to them, okay, pleasant, whatever. If I don't like them, then I remove myself from them and I won't spend so much time with them, okay? But you never know if people that you're talking to are going to be the next Richard Branson or whoever it is, and they come from all surprising walks of life. Some of the people on my, on my degree course turn out to be very successful. My husband's colleague, for example, was one of the 4 guys this week in the news on the Tesco people that were kicked out. And he said the guy was great at football, a really nice guy, and he was very surprised. But you never know where these people are going to come from and where they're going to go. So be nice to everybody. Okay, I need some audience feedback now. So, who said, and I'll split you into 3 groups, okay? Be nice to everyone, always smile and appreciate things because it could all be gone tomorrow. Was it A, Marilyn Monroe, B, the Dalai Lama, and C, Ed Sheeran? Okay? Hands up for A. Come on guys, you're still awake. You can do it. Hands up for B. Right, that's good. Hands up for C. I think that's 3 people got it right. It's Ed Sheeran. Okay. So, the other thing is learn to negotiate. Okay? 2 years out of university, I was working for Pilkington's, the large glass company based in St Helens and worldwide. And they put me into the sales department, and I did not have a clue. So I thought to myself, who are the best people out there for sales? Okay. But in those days, it was the Everest double glazing salesman. So what did I do? I thought, I don't know anything about sales. So I rang up and said, I'd like to order, I'd like to have someone come round and talk to me about double glazing. And that was the best 3 hours of my evening that I spent learning how to sell. Okay? So think about, if you've got a problem, ask other people, okay? There are lessons out there for you, and use other people to learn, okay? Early lessons for you, as I found at university, it would be things like, if you don't remove your wet jeans from my bath, I won't remove my rotten food from the fridge, okay? So think about your negotiation skills, even simple points like that, okay? Don't suffer in silence and get help. Again, the same thing helps everywhere when you look for it and you ask, okay? Plagiarism, okay? I could write an essay on this, probably will come from Essays Are Us, however. But do you really want to think for the rest of your life that essaysareus.com actually got you that 2-2? Or do you want to think, I did it myself? So think twice before you think about plagiarism. And what you learn is not in the output, it's the learning process. You're actually working, applying that knowledge and getting to that stage of putting words down on the paper, okay? And join in. I mentioned before about all sorts of bodies and societies and things that you can join at university. Get a mix between sports and sort of head stuff and enjoying yourself, so that you've got a balanced week. What I suggest, however, is to get involved with your professional body. And there are all sorts of them out there, and the university has taken a fantastic step of becoming a lot more involved with all the professional bodies. And we've now got a lecture series which is actually going to be based here and at the Warrington campus, free of charge for you guys. Okay? Bodies like the Institute of Chartered Accountants England and Wales, CIPD for the personnel people out there, Chartered Institute of Marketing, where I'm involved, Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, the Institute of Directors, the list goes on. But find out the body that's responsible and go to the events that they organise locally. And if you don't organise local events, that's a fantastic opportunity for you to start getting involved locally. Okay? Balance work and leisure. Okay, as I mentioned, I was involved with squash, I was on the ball committee, in the ENTS department, and I arranged discos and events. I did a lot of dance. In those days it was John Travolta, I don't know if you remember, but we were all sort of doing our thing at uni. Do attend the lectures. If you aren't, you're wasting your money. It is important. And I won't, for those people at the back, you haven't heard this, but if you don't attend or you can't attend, get someone else, somebody, a buddy that's going to actually help you write your essays and to do the work you need to keep up. Okay? Learn from everything, okay? I've done some research on this, and in the 21st century there is very little out there that's actually real, genuine new ideas. Even if you look at what Apple has been doing, or some of the real innovation companies, a lot of it is what we call consolidation ideas. So they'll have an idea in one sector, they'll apply it to another. It could be a mix of different product features that are brought together into something. So there's very little. There's what we call cross-pollination of ideas. So it may well be that you're going and researching, doing work on, I don't know, railway lines, whatever, and the ideas that you come across in railway lines are applicable to techniques for how people move around buildings or whatever. So don't close your mind to think, oh, I don't want to know anything about railway lines, because there are things that you can apply from one to the other. Okay? And the skill is doing the same but better, or niche targeting. Okay? And look at the airlines for ideas like that. Air flight was not a new thing, it's just the clever way that they did that with the bucket airlines. Okay? Monitor, find the usefulness in all, okay? There is, you never waste any time. If not, take an iPad from the desk or a phone and do that at the same time anyway. So. Right, and monitor and measure. Beware of people with woolly phrases. Try and quantify everything. Get numbers around. Let facts get in the way of a good story. Because that's your job, is to really know rather than to think or to approximate or to take someone else's views on things. Now what I'll do is just talk a little bit about what employers are looking at from their grads, okay? Any questions at this stage? I feel as I'm out here on my own. Okay, I'll carry on. The first thing we tend to look for is experience, and I know Philippa told you about it's important for you to not just have your degree, because that's great, so I can sit in a room, I can absorb facts, and I can put it down on paper. It's a little bit more than that, but you could take that extreme view. What we're interested in is how that knowledge is applied in a smart way, how that links with other people, how that knowledge fits within the organisation, and how to get the most out of it. When someone joins us, we give them an area of responsibility, we let them work on it, and then what we look for is that of what they're doing becomes an indispensable part of our business. And if it doesn't, we don't need it. If it does, then we absorb it and we start thinking, yes, that work has a value. So you see how important it is that you have those workability skills. Okay? You have to ask the question like, how does this, which I've just been asked to do, fit into the bigger scheme of things? How does it apply? Where is the useful return on what I'm doing? Okay? And that comes with experience. Okay? When I studied my professional exams at night school, I found it was very demoralising because I was learning the theory of how things should be done. I was told, before you open a product in a new market, you have to go out and do research loads, you have to find out who the competitors were and whatever. And when I started my company up, it scared me witless about all the competitors out there, and I thought, this is really a bit of a waste of time, because I'm getting demoralised, and it's not something that's going to be, it's not going to help me, because I'm going to open a business anyway. And I think sometimes you can overanalyse. The first ever boss that I had in a marketing role was somebody who I said, this is great, I've learnt at night school, we've got to research this, we've got to do this, that's going to cost us £5 and then we'll spend 10 grand on telling everybody about it. And he said, don't spend the 5 grand, you don't need to know that. Put that 5 grand to 15 grand about getting the word out. And that went against everything that I was being taught at night school. Okay? So think about sort of usefulness, okay? And that those experiences are important, okay? Demonstrable backup statements. When I look at CVs that we get from potential students and employees, okay, if someone says, I've done this, or whatever, I will ask them about it. So have your backup, have your facts and figures surrounding what you've done, okay? Answers to why you did what you did, so that there are no gaps. Why did you move from this job to the other? Well, I needed a bit more experience in that, or it interested me more, or whatever. All those things you need to be able to put through. Accuracy and focus, okay. How do we know that you're accurate and focused? Mostly, you can guess this, it's spelling and punctuation, okay. If I've got someone who sends me a letter and it's just dear sir or dear madam or whatever, they haven't really gone, they're not that keen on working for my company. I need it where someone said, I've been onto the website, I've looked at this, these are the sorts of things that you do, and this is how I see myself fitting into that. So those are important. And no spelling mistakes, okay? And that big picture mentality that I spoke about before, how does what I'm doing fit into the whole company? That's important because you can preempt where the problem's going to arise and how it affects other areas, and we're looking for that big picture capability as well, okay? Passion, adaptability and enthusiasm, a lot more difficult to test out, but after a few weeks generally you get that feeling, okay? We employ indispensable, irreplaceable people, and that's when you join us what you have to start to be. Okay? Employers do look on social media. So we are checking your Facebook status, LinkedIn, Twitter, whatever, and we get as much information as we can. And in the past we have had students where we've done that to check something out and decided that perhaps their duvet day quota would be far too big for our organisation, or perhaps their heart wasn't anything. So it happens, okay? When you give us references, we always follow up on references. So don't assume that we're not. Okay? I suggest what you do is you do a sort of a ration and health check of your social media, and if you are worried about what you're likely to put out on social media, then have a pseudonym, put it under a different name, so that you are not mixing up your party antics with your business profile. LinkedIn is particularly a great strength, and just keep that as professional as you can. Okay? Read a quality Sunday newspaper, just so that you keep your mind ticking over and keep aware of what's happening out there. I recommend The Economist because it's very numbers driven, you get facts and figures on things. To do spend some time trying to locate where we don't assume one's in the library, but it's a good read. And if you can, listen to Radio 4 News and Current Affairs, okay? World Affairs is also very good, and I look from our own correspondent because it gives you a good mix of what's happening out there in the world, and you get all sorts of weird subjects sort of thrown at you. The Sicilians who can't escape the mafia, how Yemen's capital was seized at speed, how Liberia lost its handshake, which is the Ebola issues there. Where to go for a driving licence without a test, apparently it's Mexico City. The memory of hell amongst the sunflowers, related to revisiting the fields where flight MH17 was shot down. And why I took my headscarf off only to put it back on again. So a real potpourri of different subjects that you'll find is stimulating and will keep you interested in at least dinner party conversations. And then the other thing is to buy Lynn Truss, not the woman, but it's the book. And has anyone seen this before? Know about it? It's not the best book out there, okay? But what it's about is punctuation and grammar in a very easy, bite-sized way of just making sure you spell something correctly. Okay? So that at least we can't say it's the only way that you're going to make school cool. Okay. Talking of success, okay, so we've done some of the pre-prep now, we're starting to move forward and check out success, okay? What do you think success looks like? What does success look like to you? 35 years ago, I thought success was one of those sort of graphs and projectile arrows that goes from the bottom left to the top right, and that everything would be plain sailing. If I worked hard, got to mix with the right people, I'd be a great success and everything would translate smoothly. This is now what I know it looks like, okay? I'll give you some of these key milestones. That's probably my car crash in 1997. That's probably the twins in 1998. If you want kids, they put a real dent in your business programme. This will be when the office roof collapsed in 2010. And this is a bit of the work that we've done for the Institute of Directors, Californian Startups and GEC recently. We've also now got new social media operations, content marketing, video operation and a new team that I'm really pleased to have around me. So we are starting to get there, but it is not, that's the sort of mix of success that you can expect to see out there. Okay? Other people have the same. Jerry's Guide to the World Wide Web. Anyone know this? What it used to be called? No? But guess what it's called now? Is it A, Wikipedia, or B, Yahoo? Any ideas? Wikipedia, everyone? Okay, yeah. Yahoo? You're going to have to brush up on your general knowledge, guys, really. So you need to be out there, radio, TV and stuff, okay? It's actually Yahoo. 2 years after I started my business, that's what they were called. And that's how they started, just a few pages of general knowledge about things, and then they develop it, and look what it's become now. Here are some naming nightmares. Soup for sluts, okay. P and poo, food and drink, okay. You might think there's a lot of it Far East translates badly back to Europe, but no. We've got IKEA in the States with their workbench called Fartful, and Australia even, veggie poo, and back again to the Far East, only puke in that container. Okay? So another test for you to still see if you're awake. Who said a person who never made a mistake never tried anything new? Was it A, Henry Ford? I didn't want to put pictures of that, I thought I could put a car, because you all know obviously he's a car inventor. Thomas Alva Edison, I didn't know that was his second name either, so it's quite good. Or Albert Einstein. Right, A everybody. 1, 2, fantastic, okay, B. Okay, C. Yes, we've actually got there. It's Albert Einstein, okay? And finally, almost finally, this is the definition according to the Department of Trade and Industry of what makes a business a success. And you can, very carefully, translate that to yourself, okay? I am a visionary champion of change. I unlock potential in people. I know my customers. I introduce differentiated products. And I always work to exceed customer expectations. And let that be your mantra in your careers and study careers from now on. Okay? I also want you to wage war on waste. Your time, your money, and food. That's a particular thing from our company. We're quite well known for innovative food things. And tonight I'm dining in Liverpool Cathedral with about 30 people from across Europe on all things to do with waste food. Okay, so what should you be doing? You should ensure during these next few weeks you pause to enjoy where you are and that you actually think to yourself, wow, I'm here, I've got here. Through all the last year of struggles, doing all your A-levels, whatever study system you're in, congratulations, you deserve to be here. Now make the most of it. Pause, think, make some fantastic friends, okay? Then, make sure you participate. Live the moment, don't just play it. And finally, fast forward your career. You're already here, but your time is a means to an end. Live life to the max, do not waste it. And finally, learn from other people's mistakes. That includes me. Thanks for listening. Any questions?